Kia ora, Year 12 and 13. This is the last question from the end of topic test on complex numbers. So the first two parts in here, A and B, are achieved questions. Then C and D are merit questions. And finally, question E is a proof question, which is an excellence question. Okay, so let's have a look, starting with part A. We have to solve this quadratic and express our solutions in this form. So I'm going to use completing the square to do this because I've got a 4 here. It's fine for you to do the quadratic formula on this as well. So completing the square, if we just write out what we're starting from, we've got this. So we're looking at those first two terms and we're going to turn those into a perfect square. So z plus 2 squared matches up to this. I have to take out 4 and add 16, right? If you're watching this in level 3 calc and you're not confident with completing the square, you need to go back to some of the level 2 algebra videos that I've done and go over that technique. Right, so next we get z plus 2 squared is equal to negative 12. And now I take square roots of both sides and I get z plus 2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of negative 12, which is plus or minus 12 times negative 1, which is plus or minus root 12i. And we know that we want to get it into this form, b root ci. So now we're finally going to have z is equal to negative 2 plus or minus 2 root 3i. Okay, so that's that first question done. And you could do that, as I said, with the formula would be fine too. Okay, part B is a very straightforward application of de Moivre's theorem and then a conversion from polar form back into rectangular form. And you can see from the numbers that we're going to end up using our special triangles for that. I know some of you will have done that on your calculators. If you're in 13 MCA, it is crucial that you can do that straight away from just sketching the argon diagram. So I'm not going to use a calculator for this one. We've got root 2 cis of 5 pi on 6 to the power of 4, which is going to be root 2 to the power of 4, cis of 20 pi on 6, right? So I'm multiplying these two together. And I can simplify that straight away to 10 pi over 3. Now I want to take out multiples of 2 pi to make that simpler. And cleaning this up is going to give me 2 2s are 4. So it's going to be 4 cis of 4 pi on 3. I could work with that, or even nicer, we'll make it cis of negative 2 pi on 3, right? Because we like to have our principal value between pi and negative pi. So I'm going to draw an argon diagram now, just to make sure you're all feeling confident with how to use the special triangles. And I'm just going to draw the argon diagram for the cis part and then times it by 4. So we've got an angle here of negative 2 pi on 3. So we're going back to here. So that's negative 120 degrees. And you can see that I'm drawing out a special triangle. So that angle is negative 2 pi on 3. This angle in here is pi on 3. So this side length is root 3, this side length is 2, and this one is 1. And we know that cos of theta is equal to x over r, and sine of theta is equal to y over r. So in this case, we've got 4 times cis of this, so it's equal to 4 cos of negative 2 pi on 3 plus I sine of negative 2 pi on 3. I know some of you in 13 MCA will be watching and going, wow, she's going really slowly over this, but that's because students often are still tending to make mistakes with this point. So looking at the diagram, cos of negative 2 pi on 3 is going to equal negative 1/2. Okay, one note's coming back. And sine of negative 2 pi on 3 is going to be negative root 3 on 2. That gives me negative 2 minus 2 root 3i. Okay, so that's my final answer for that question. Right, let's move on to the 2 achieved questions. So the next one is one where I'm going to use the sum and product of the roots. We're given an equation, a quadratic, and I'm not going to solve it. Now the slow and clunky way to do this is to use the quadratic formula or completing the square to solve it once, and then to times both those roots by 4, and then to put it back in. That's a whole lot of extra work. So in here, we're going to say let the first roots be alpha and beta. That means that the new roots are 4 alpha and 4 beta. In the first equation, we had the sum of the roots, alpha plus beta, is equal to negative b over a, which is negative 2. And we had the product of the roots is equal to c over a, which is negative 5. With the new equation, the roots are going to be 4 alpha plus 4 beta, which is equal to 4 times alpha plus beta. So that's going to equal negative 8. And the product of the new roots will be 4 alpha times 4 beta is 16 times alpha beta, which is equal to negative 80. So that means we're ready to finish this off and write the new equation. So the new equation will be x squared minus 8x, sorry, plus 8x, because this is equal to negative b over a. So it's going to be plus 8x, and this is equal to c over a, minus 80 equals 0. So that's the new equation. Now, the only thing you've really got to watch out for in there is that mistake that I almost made at the end, which is that this thing here, the sum of the roots, is not b over a, it's negative b over a. And again, if you're not sure about that, I've done a couple of teachy videos on the sum and product of the roots, so you can go and search those two up. Right, so that's a merit question, and so's the next one. Now, we just have to write this in its simplest form. Let's see what we've got. We've got k minus ki over 1 plus I minus 2k over 1 minus I. So what I'm going to do is just get a common denominator and then clean everything up. So we're going to have 1 plus I times 1 minus I here, k into 1 minus I times 1 minus I here. So that's that factorized times that minus 2k times 1 plus I. Now, simplifying, let's start with the denominator. We get 1 plus I minus I squared, so plus 1. Up here, we get k times 1 minus 2I plus I squared minus 2k minus 2ki. That cleans up to give me k times 1 minus 2I minus 1 minus 2k minus 2ki. And yes, I am going really slowly. Next, that gives me negative 2I times k minus 2k minus 2ki over 2, which is negative 2k, doing the real bit first, minus 4ki over 2, which is negative k minus 2ki. So that's, I think, a very easy merit question, as long as you go slowly enough and check your work to see that you haven't made any small mistakes with subtraction or addition. Okay, and then the last one is to prove that u over v is purely imaginary if this condition here is true. I'll just make that a wee bit bigger. So this is a question where I've got two complex numbers that I'm working with, and instead of just doing a z, let z equal x plus iy, I'm going to do two versions of that. So I'm going to start by saying let u equal a plus bi, and let v equal c plus di. We're going to manipulate these things, take the magnitude of u plus v and take the magnitude of u minus v. That's going to give us a condition here, and then we're going to do something with u over v. Okay, so I'm going to start here by just saying, well, what is u over v? U over v will be a plus bi over c plus di, and I'm going to multiply that by the conjugate straight away. Now, I'm not going to take this too far, but we'll do a little bit of work on this. So we get c squared plus cdi minus cdi minus d squared I squared. So that gives me plus d squared, right? We should be really used to this pattern by now. And then we've got a plus bi times c minus di which gives me AC plus BD for the real part, plus BC minus AD times I. And that's all over C squared plus D squared. So if this is going to be purely imaginary, what we're looking for is that we want this bit here, the real bit, to be 0. So that's what I want to have my eyes out for. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to figure out what the condition is. Okay, so U plus V, the magnitude of U plus V is equal to what? Well, that's the magnitude of A plus BI plus C plus DI. So that gives us A plus C squared plus B plus D squared. And the magnitude of the difference is the magnitude of A plus BI minus C minus DI, which is equal to A minus C squared plus B minus D squared. So if those two things are equal, we have this. Squaring both sides and expanding gives me A squared plus 2AC plus C squared plus B squared plus 2BD plus D squared. I'll just keep going without talking. And now I can simplify a whole lot of stuff away. So the A squareds go, the C squareds go, the B squareds go, and the D squareds go. And that leaves me with 2AC plus 2BD is equal to negative 2AC minus 2BD. You can see we're getting really close to our condition. So 4AC plus 4BD is equal to 0. So it's quite nice having done that early work, so that as soon as we see we're getting close to this, now we take that and we go back and we say, what's U over V? Well, U over V is equal to AC plus BD over C squared plus D squared plus BC minus ADI over C squared plus D squared, which is equal to BC minus ADI over C squared plus D squared. In other words, the real part of U over V is equal to 0, so UV is purely imaginary. So there you go. I think that's actually a pretty easy excellence question once you've got used to doing proofs like these. The only thing that I think hopefully has helped with that video is that sometimes it's worth just having a wee bit of a look at where you're trying to get to before you dive into this bit. But it probably doesn't really matter in this example. All right, I'm sure no one is listening to me still rabbiting on, but if you are, come and claim some kind of chocolate if you're still out there. All right, thanks for watching.